I've been playing Minecraft for years.
Minecraft, which is really fun.
Yup, that's me. Yet despite the time I put into this game, I'm not the best Minecraft player. But all of that's gonna change. And what better way to become a better Minecraft player than starting a hardcore series, where the stakes are high and the possibilities even higher. I'm not only gonna beat the game, I'm gonna push my limits, go outside my comfort zone to expand my skills and hopefully make things entertaining along the way. So, here we go. Subscribe to keep up with every episode. We loaded into our Minecraft world and spawned in a lovely little oak forest surrounded by plains. This naturally felt like a good start with all the resources nearby that we would need, so I started gathering wood. We made some wooden tools, and then I dug down into the earth to get some stone to make a furnace, as well as some other stone tools. I felt very good about our start so far. I surveyed our area a little bit and saw there were a bunch of animals running around, and I also found some coal. There's a nearby cave by that coal, and I thought maybe I could explore and get some iron early, so I explored a bit. Found enough iron to make some tools later on. I was going to explore the cave a little bit more, but I came across a witch and immediately changed my mind. I've never played hardcore Minecraft and I didn't want to risk taking damage from anything. Not to mention, I only had a stone sword and still felt defenseless. I reached the surface and took another look around as I smelted the iron I found, figured that I was well off with the amount of iron that I had. So instead of ending the life of a few sheep with a stone sword, I made some shears to collect wool efficiently. Also, so the PETA organization wouldn't flag my video only a few minutes into it. If anyone a part of that organization is watching this video, this was the only moment of the series that I spared animals in this way, so you might want to skip this video and find some funny cats to watch. Though our spawn had some good vibes and looked ideal for starting to build for our base, I knew that I wanted to explore more. Find a village. Well, really, just find a village. We took our first snooze, and then I quickly crafted some iron tools with the ore we gathered, and even made a shield in case we came across any danger. The only mob I had seen so far was that witch in the cave, and we were definitely not going back there. Off we went, as we explored in the new procedurally generated world. I was so excited. There were some mountains in the distance from the plains, but I didn't know which direction we should start in yet. I finally decided to head out through the forest in search of a village to get resources and plant our roots. I gathered some spruce saplings along the way with the plans of making those 2x2 mega trees, which are awesome, just for gathering wood to make sticks and trade with villagers. As we were making our way, a baby zombie started to chase us down relentlessly, and these baby zombies are literally one of the most chaotic mobs in the game and could take anyone down if they didn't have their wits about them. Luckily, it was daytime and I just ran around until simply he burned to death. And that was that. I finally came across an ocean, and I made a boat to cover more ground. I was still on the lookout for a village, and I knew that to get the tools and the protection we wanted quickly without risking dying to mobs in a cave, I had to start villager trading. So that was my game plan. While out on sea, I found a partially submerged structure with a buried treasure map, and I remembered this is 1.20. I was really excited to try the archaeology features, but didn't have the tools yet to mine through the sus gravel or sus sand, so I just started looking for treasure. While looking, I found a shipwreck to loot, which we found our first emerald. This ship only had one chest, but that's okay. There's a buried treasure that was next on our list. We dug up the buried treasure and found some decent loot. It was nearing nighttime, and to avoid any mob spawning, we took a snooze. And when we woke up, I decided to make some iron armor with the iron we found along the way. We were almost able to make a full set, everything but pants. I don't know why I didn't make pants. But we'd be okay. As we sailed off again, I constantly scanned the horizon for any signs of a village. And then, finally, there it was. This village was huge and was like right off the mainland, like a peninsula-looking island thing. It looked great, and I knew that this would be the place that we wanted to plant our roots. So I gathered up all the items the villagers kindly left in their chests just for me, and started to get an idea of where we should start building our villager trading hall. I put down my chest and a furnace and started landscaping a large area right next to the village. I've planted the first mega tree of many and accepted my fate that I would be spending so much time chopping spruce logs. But hey, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? But I knew the start to this hardcore world would need to be different. This isn't your average survivor world. I knew trading with these villagers would get me the resources that I need if I had my sights on the end. Like, literally the end. Like, the end goal of the game. Like, beating the game. Like, you know what I mean? I've never built a villager trading hall before like this, let alone a villager breeding area to have an endless supply. I just had a rough idea. Just gather all the beds, put them together in a large, closed-off area, and just drop some food, hoping the villagers would just repopulate. Well, I learned the hard way that there's a lot more to it than that. I crafted some boats and began moving all the villagers into their new, fully furnished luxury home before nightfall, and began setting up my trading empire. Now, if you played Minecraft before, you definitely know that working with villagers is a nightmare. Trying to space them out and place a fletching table or a lectern over and over again was more tedious than I first thought it would be. With all my villagers gathered in one place, some iron golems started spawning, many of them, which is a great source of iron and protection at the same time. I took a break and sailed out to check my surroundings and found another submerged structure. I wanted to try out the new archaeology feature but didn't have the tools yet, again, to make a brush, so I just went back to the village and started trading a bit. After upgrading the villagers I had, I went by into the nearby ravine and gathered some more resources. One being copper, to make a brush to get some loot from that sus gravel we found earlier. I was so excited to try this feature, and I uncovered some emeralds, but sadly, no pottery sherds or new armor trims. Sailing out more, I discovered a drowned ruin structure and tried to go down to loot it, but was impaled by a trident. So, being the brave boy that I am, I quickly left and decided to travel away from the drowned mob throwing the trident as quickly as I could. Back at home base, which really wasn't a home base at all, our mega trees were in full bloom. So, already having traded with a few Fletcher villagers, I started collecting wood to craft sticks for trading. This was our main source of emeralds at the moment, and it would be for a little bit. It wasn't completely efficient, but it had me thinking, maybe I need to get more trades going, maybe with some farmers. I expanded the villager trading hall a bit. Well, it's not really a hall, it's like a shack, but that's alright. The mantra I was reciting in my head at the time was, it doesn't have to look pretty, it just needs to get the job done. With the iron I've gathered from the golems that had spawned, I made an anvil and I put together a powerful bow that I got from trading with the Fletcher villagers. It was a very powerful bow, but it wasn't at its full potential yet. With the Fletchers selling arrows for emeralds for cheap, I had an endless supply of arrows in my dispense. Our only main food source was bread, and I was getting real tired of waiting for wheat to grow all night just to farm it and make bread. So I finally went out and tried to find some cows in the plains biome across the river and bring them back to our base. Finally, I got the remaining villagers to breed by giving them just a bunch of carrots. Not sure how that works. I was doing some research on villager trading and decided I didn't just want sticks to be our only source of emeralds. I knew the farmer could provide us decent trades, but what I didn't know is that the farmer could give us golden carrots. Weirdly enough, golden carrots give you more regen and hearts than steak, which I thought was the best way to heal yourself. So please forgive me as I didn't realize this until near the end of this video. Like I said, I still feel like I'm learning Minecraft. Anyways, I built a massive farm area to plant loads of carrots and potatoes for trading, and our home base island was starting to shape up. We quickly ran into a big problem though. My organization skills were lacking. Okay, lacking is a nice term. They were garbage. Complete garbage. All my items were a nightmare to sort through, and I was struggling to find simple things over and over again, but of course, we just swept our troubles under the rug, and my reasoning was that I wanted to have a house built first, where we could have all of our stuff neatly sorted away. Now, the amount of hours I spent chopping spruce logs was insane, but the payoff was alright. Trading 32 sticks for an emeralds really worked out. I eventually maxed out our armor villager and purchased diamond armor without even going mining. It was kind of awesome. I didn't really want to go mining at all until this point because I was afraid I would get overwhelmed by mobs and potentially die. So to avoid all of that, I knew that I needed to beef up on protection so I can make sure that this series wouldn't end early. I thought to myself, since we're finally fully protected by diamond armor, maybe I should go mining. I mean, the whole point of this game is to go mining. So I dug down into a vast cave where I found a mine shaft. It was so dark and I didn't have much coal for torches due to the lack of me actually spending any time in the mines to light the entire place up. I'm not entirely sure how mob spawning works, but I knew I nearly had the entire surface of my base camp lit up in the chunks that I loaded in, so I figured that's probably why there were so many mobs spawning underground. I tried to gather as much resources as I could because my goal was still to level up my villager trades as much as possible. However, I knew that eventually, if I ever wanted to lower any of the price for all these trades, I would need to convert my villagers into zombies and then back into villagers. So rather than look up a tutorial, which is probably what I should have done, I thought to myself, nah, I understand how this works. And I tried to do it all by myself, and it went very bad. You'll get to see a little bit of that soon. Back up at the surface, I was getting tired of our storage system, and instead of dealing with it, I started to burn items that I didn't need, which was an excellent temporary fix. After that, I began this new day by enjoying my favorite pastime in Minecraft, spruce log chopping. I also was curious, how many logs have I actually mined? So I looked at my stats. that's a lot. For some reason, I started a chicken farm and built a semi-elaborate chicken pen where the floor was made out of hoppers that would transfer all the eggs that the chickens dropped into a chest, which basically made a eternal chicken farm all by itself. I crafted some bookshelves and got a head start on my enchantment room, which was not elaborate whatsoever, nor did it look nice. I don't know what I was doing. Don't worry, I eventually built a house and put all of our crap inside of it. It just took me forever. By this time, I was feeling pretty good about the start to our Minecraft hardcore series. I had full diamond armor that was half enchanted and villagers maxed out with diamond trades. I was feeling really good, actually. Not the best start, I know, but hey, I got here somehow. I'm not entirely sure what day in Minecraft this was. It was for sure within 100 days still, but that's okay. This isn't a 100-day Minecraft hardcore series anyways. Maybe another video. So sadly, I lost some footage due to a power outage, but you should be glad because it was just simply me chopping trees for 10 minutes straight. Well, maybe more than that. The sad part was that I was in the middle of moving my inventory and crafting loads of sticks when my computer shut off. Also, another weird part was when I loaded back into my world, it duplicated my inventory. Was definitely not completely upset about this. I promise I'm not cheating, but this just meant I had to chop down every single tree again. We'll call this fair trade my punishment, and we just moved on. One thing I want to point out with this series is what kind of Minecrafter I want to be. I don't want to come across as one of those people that do some exploring, quote unquote, off screen because it feels fake and leaves so much room for doubt. I want to be someone with grit, true endurance, and integrity. Someone who always does his best to achieve his goals with as much courage and confidence as I can muster. So, with that being said, I did some off-screen exploring in the Nether and didn't record a single second of my first interdimensional travel. I think it might have been because I lost the recording of our first entry to the Nether. Maybe the power went out. I'm not sure. Guess I get a gold star for that one. While using our brewing stand, we began our work making weakness potions with the goal in mind of ethically infecting our villagers with the zombie virus via zombie bite and change each villager back into their normal brown Squidward selves over and over again for my benefit. Our first phantom spawned in the world and ultimately met its fate courtesy of my awesome bow, Hubert. Sorry, Mr. Phantom, I hope your 23 seconds of life were well lived. Our work began making our DIY zombie villager chamber, and oh boy, I did not know the amount of pain this was going to be. I lured a zombie toward the trading shack, hoping to trap him safely. I even tried to drop some items for him to pick up so he wouldn't despawn, but he was not having it. Finally, I brought him into the shack and trapped our first zombie successfully. Well, sort of. I even trapped his buddy, but he was also very stubborn and would not pick up any items I was dropping for him. I broke the wooden plank separating the zombie and the villager, but for some reason the zombie would not attack him. He was just focused on me. Even when the villager started running back and forth, he just wasn't having it. And then I realized I had to block the zombie's sightline. And then finally, he got to work. I separated the zombie and the now infected villager and tried to figure out how to get the zombie villager into his trading spot. I trapped our zombie friend under the floor for later use and decided to use the zombie villager to infect the rest of the bunch that didn't have the job yet. That went poorly. The zombie villager tried to follow me out and then caught fire from the sunlight. I quickly blocked the sun by replacing the trapdoor with a slab, but the now on fire zombie villager set one of the other villagers on fire and there were only 2 left. RIP. The villagers had a lot of space to run around and the zombie villagers just couldn't keep up, so I tried to block the other villagers left. This nonsense went on for longer than I'd like to say, but finally, after a very tedious process of converting my villagers into zombies, I got to work splashing them with weakness potions and giving them the golden apple of resurrection. Then, sadly, I lost one of my zombie villagers to the iron golems on guard. I had to do what needed to be done, and fast, before they destroyed my chances at lowering any of my trades. I didn't think the golems could get to the zombies, but I was severely wrong. Using more brain cells, I came up with the idea of keeping each zombie villager in a boat, therefore rendering their movement completely. Wish I thought of that sooner. After waiting for what felt like forever, my librarian villager finally changed back, and boy was I excited to see efficiency 5 trade drop from 42 emeralds to only 17. That's so easy to get now. Even the trade for sticks for our Fletcher villager dropped so much. However, I knew I wanted to get my stick for emerald trade to the absolute lowest it could be. So, I released my basement zombie to attack once again. I nearly killed my zombie with the sunlight that apparently seeps through solid wooden trapdoors. Thankfully, he fell right into my trap. However, when I was trying to separate that zombie and the zombie villager, I was taking a lot of damage, and I started placing dirt blocks around me in a panic. I got out with 5 hearts remaining, which in retrospect wasn't too close to death, but it was close enough for me. Feeling very confident, I decided to skip sleeping the night and go mob hunting. I think the reason was to gather some spider eyes to craft fermented spider eyes for brewing, but also simply because I was feeling pretty kitted out. Even picked up a music disc a creeper dropped, and while out on my killing spree, I spotted a pillager outpost in the distance. I headed back to our base and I was taking inventory of the night's haul when I heard one of my villagers being attacked and changing into a zombie. Turns out, I left a one gap hole where a baby zombie got to one of my librarians, and I saw this as a win. So I thanked the baby zombie by ending his undead life. Using my newly infected villager, I simply broke the blocks in between each of them and let them have at it. Quickly brewed up some weakness splash potions and crafted some more golden apples, and we were back at it again. In the hopes of avoiding another golem attack, I expanded the roof of the trading shack to block off any mobs from attacking. After a few minutes, my Unbreaking 3 and Efficiency 5 librarians changed, and boy, was I glad to see them happy and healthy because, dang, look at these trades. I finished up the roof and the walls, and the villagers said goodbye to the last sunlight and blue sky they'd see for the rest of this playthrough. And after sealing up the last villager, I tore down the back half of the villager shack. Update on my storage situation. Nothing's changed, it's still complete garbage. I needed books to get our awesome enchantment trades for my librarians, so thankfully I used more of my brain cells and bought bookshelves for my librarian and then broke them to get books, essentially creating an endless supply of books. Don't tell him. And after leveling up my librarian, he offered a trade that was just too good. One book for one emerald. I don't think he knows that bookshelves have books in them, but we'll just keep that secret to ourselves. I had a Looting 3 book, and I knew I wanted to use it on a diamond sword, but ran out of emeralds to trade with our weaponsmith, so I decided to use other books I received to upgrade our current tools. For some reason here, I chose to set one of my farmer villagers free from the obligation of being a farmer. I think to make room for another librarian or something, but I'm not too sure. I knew this action could affect my trades, but going around the room, none of the trains had changed. I got away with it. At least I thought. I used the books I gathered to upgrade our diamond axe and our diamond shovel, and then tried to go back to get the diamond sword to complete our set. Turns out, there was a single witness to our villager antics. Sadly, I paid the price of my treachery. A whopping 109% increase. Yes, I googled that to do the math. That is outrageous. And then I realized my armor also increased their prices. Well, this was upsetting. I took it like a champ though by logging out in frustration and going straight to bed that night. After our villager mishap, I needed a distraction, so I crafted a lightning rod because it started to rain and thunder, and wanted to watch it simply just get struck by lightning. I almost missed it trying to defend myself from mobs attacking me. A creeper wanted in on the fun and tried to get a little too close for comfort, but got stuck in a random boat that I left on the ground. Don't remember doing that, but thank you, me in the past. Oh, and I finally tackled my organizational problems by installing this really cool mod that does all the work for me with just a simple click. It's amazing. I mean, just look at that. Now, we had run into a bit of a problem. We had nearly all the villagers we would need, however, we would need a little bit more if we were to maximize our trading efficiency. So I started to gather supplies to build a villager breeder and a newly improved villager zombie chamber. Thankfully, using someone else's design, not whatever I had been doing for the past 30 or 60 or however many Minecraft days it's been, I'm not sure, I'm not counting. I quickly got to work landscaping a new area to start all of our future projects I had planned to build, making our villager trading as efficient as possible. However, to avoid the amount of work it would take me to move some of the villagers we had so meticulously placed in the villager shack, I decided to look for any natural spawning zombie villagers, or hopefully explore a bit more with the hopes of finding another village. Off we went in search of our new brave recruits, and thankfully, luck was on our side, and we found another village off in the distance. There was a lot of water and river flowing from both my base and this new village, so my plan was simply to create a canal to boat these villagers all the way back to our home base, to begin their new lives as the Jello Muffin Workforce 2.0. We hired our first recruit who was sold on simply just the benefits that Jello Muffin Incorporated provided. A place to sleep, endless carrots, and an office with a great view. And well, there only might be a little truth behind those words, but he doesn't have to know that yet. We mined out the rock between both rivers to make a tunnel to the other side, which made transporting these villagers very easy. And once we hit land, I simply used an occupation block to further lure this workaholic closer to our home base. And before you know it, we had 1 out of 2 villagers to start our new trading empire, just like that. Rinse and repeat the process, making sure to scrub behind those ears and get between those nooks and crannies, and then boom, we had 2 work-hungry villagers safely nestled away in their temporary office. That literally took 45 minutes to accomplish. We got to work making the outline of what our breeding pen would look like using cobblestone as a temporary block, and I've never built one of these villager farms before, but I was excited for the outcome of never having to worry about needing to transport more villagers from thousands of blocks away. After building the framework for the first one, I just mirrored the build across from our first farm to double our villager output count. Okay, just look at this. Wait for it.
Wow.
Isn't this organization mod so freaking amazing? For this farm build, we were going to need a lot of glass, so I obliterated our local beach to get the materials that we needed. Thank you, Gupert. That's my diamond shovel's name, by the way. Now, the lack of spending time in the mines left us with barely any coal, but not to worry. Who needs coal to smelt items when you can simply enter a magical portal into a blocky hell to gather an infinite supply of lava to use to smelt anything you want? We went back to check on our villagers in the villager shack, and turns out our weaponsmith converted to Christianity and found it in his heart to forgive us of our trespasses and lowered his diamond sword trade back to its original price. I was ecstatic. While all the glass was smelting, I decided to head back into the mine shaft, and I actually found some diamonds. Kind of funny, these were some of the first diamonds I found naturally. Man, I mined them up using my Fortune 2 diamond pickaxe. Also, found some much needed coal. Full diamond armor, yet crafting torches is a luxury I could barely afford. This cave was huge, and I wanted to explore the entire thing, but I simply did not have enough torches to light up the whole place. I wasn't afraid of dying due to being fully covered in diamond armor, so being the brave boy that I am, I quickly crafted a shield and took out the mobs in the darkness. And found some diamonds along the way. Back up at the surface, all the glass was done smelting, and it was time to finish our villager breeding farm. However, I was quickly reminded and humbled of how much pain it was to get villagers to do what I want. So very painful. Just to show you how frustrating this was, I'll just let this next bit play out. Pretty sure I was one nerve short of having an aneurysm. Oh, and here it is, folks. I finally got tired of living and sleeping outside with no roof above my head like a hermit surrounded by many chests full of shit. I'm doing it. I'm building my house. First, I started cleansing the terrain's palette of every villager house to make way for whatever I try my best to build. I'm seriously not the best builder at all, but I try my best, so I guess that counts. Also, here's a grand demonstration of my incomparable archer abilities. Got him. Did some quick landscaping, and then I started laying down logs to get an idea of how we should build our house. I clearly had no plan whatsoever with this build, but hey, I didn't plan anything at this point, so it checks out. And here is my house. Yup, very much unfinished and very much still all over the place, but I started our journey to our organization. Also, we finished our second villager farm, and I had an even harder time with this one. I mean, look at this garbage. These villagers have the freaking pushback power of 1,000 suns and wouldn't even move if their entire family fell into a molten lake of lava. I know it's kind of dark, but listen, I was very frustrated, and I only for a moment considered burning the entire village down. I mean, look at this mess. And to think all it took would have been breaking the walls at ground level just to have them step right in. Stupid. I'm so done with villagers. We added Fortune 3 to our diamond pickaxe, the breadwinner, and boy was I stoked to get this set of gear. Despite my newfound hatred for working with villagers, we built this guy, courtesy of Mortings on YouTube. I hope I pronounced that right. Thank you. This design made my life so much easier. In case no one has seen this contraption before, basically there's a trapdoor that opens when this lever releases water. The villager floats up to a space where a slab keeps them from exiting their little spot, and a zombie with a name tag wanders over and attacks our villager boy, converting him into a zombie boy. We flip the lever back and the zombie sinks to the bottom, hit him with that weakness splash potion and feed him a golden apple, and then we wait. We repeated this process many times. I got tired of waiting for our villagers to change, plus I was running out of blaze powder. So I decided to hop in a boat and head to our portal we made. When I was for sure recording and played for 2 hours in the Nether and found a fortress, I seriously have no idea what happened to my Nether footage, but here we are, fighting some blazes. We mined some golden nuggets to make some bars and trade with piglins. I think the hope was that we'd get some fire res potions or even pearls, but that didn't happen. And that was basically the extent of our Nether journey. Back at the house, we decided to change things up and started to change our villagers into zombies to lower their trades. Oh wait, that's what I've been doing for hours. I farmed up our carrots and potatoes to level up our farmer who turned back. It dropped his trade a bit, but we need to have this guy go through a few more cycles of turning to profit anything at all, really. To avoid boring you with the details, I basically went through this process of turning villagers, placing job blocks, tearing the block down, placing it, checking their trade, turning the villager into a zombie, changing it back, rinse and repeat, you get it. So I'll show some of the highlights. A wandering trader came to visit, offered next to nothing, so we borrowed his leads. My goal before looking for a stronghold and fighting the dragon was to get a full enchant to avoid dying at all. So we enchanted our armor with Unbreaking 3 and we went back to work with our villagers. No surprise there. Let me know in the comments how many times I've said the word villagers so far. The system really worked. I mean, look at this Fletcher's trades. We were not short on emeralds, that's for sure. Well, if one wasn't enough, I don't know what makes 3. However, in the process of making the other villager trading builds, a villager escaped and hit a work cubicle and accidentally tripped and fell right onto my axe. The other villagers raised their trades, and all those hours of changing them back and forth felt so very wasted. I lost my 1-stick emerald trade and I was pretty frustrated about this, as you can tell. I tried replacing some job blocks and seeing if that would change their trades. That didn't work. I even tried entering the Nether and logging out and back in to see if that would work. Nope. So there I was again, changing villagers into zombies and back again, over and over, forever. Let's just say there was a little bit of life contemplation waiting for these villagers to change back. The amount of items I was receiving from these trades that was filling up double chests like crazy. I mean, what am I gonna do with this many stone hoes? I took a visit to our old friends at the villager shack to get some books for cheap to enchant later. And I also decided it was time to move some of our chests that we had lying around into our house, so I threw all my stuff in my inventory into a chest and began the move. I'm pretty proud of this organization. I might not have finished the roof of my house, but hey, my items are neatly packed away in their chests, so my mind was at ease. Took a little visit to see our cows and our chickens. The chicken farm was doing well, a little too well, so I threw some eggs until sundown and I got really sidetracked and started to sail away into the sunset. Found a submerged nether portal, which was pretty cool. And if you recall earlier in this video, this is the drowned structure I tried to loot, but I was quickly overwhelmed and barely escaped with my dignity slightly intact. Here I reached what I guess you could call a full circle moment. The only good loot was some coal and a buried treasure map, which we quickly located and then headed back to our home base. Thought to myself, you know what, it's time. I started prepping for our end battle, and I brewed up some potions of slow falling because if that dragon threw me up in the air, the chances of me water bucket clutching were very, very slim. After prepping as much as we could, we were finally going to look for the stronghold. We threw our first Eye of Ender, which broke immediately. Of course it did. But we had a direction, and off we went. Traveled a ways out before throwing another pearl again. It broke. I knew we didn't have enough pearls to begin with, but I had a plan once we located the portal room to head into the Nether and locate a warp forest to get more pearls from Enderman. We found a ruined portal and a beached ship, which we looted, and turns out the stronghold was right below us. Also, used F3 to see our coordinates and found out we were on day 93, so if this were a 100 days hardcore Minecraft series, we basically made it. We dug down into the ground and entered the stronghold, stopped by the local library to check out some books, and then we found it. The portal only had one Eye of Ender already placed, so I knew we'd have to do a lot of Enderman hunting in the Nether to fill up the rest. So we built our Nether portal across the way from the end portal room, and off we went in search of a warp forest. Coincidentally, we entered the Nether in a place that we already been to, right outside of our our Nether fortress, so thankfully I had some sort of idea where we were. We eventually found a blue forest and started gathering up as many pearls as we could from the local endermen, which is always terrifying. After we had enough, we ran back to our portal and put those puppies down. I was very excited. I unloaded our inventory and only took our essentials as we geared up for the dragon boss fight. Gathered some blocks from the Nether and jumped in feet first. Now bear in mind, I've only done this boss fight twice, and I was not in a hardcore world. This was something I had never done before and the stakes were high. All the hours I put into this world, spruce log mining, the time frustratingly spent on villagers, my house without a roof, all these things were now on the line. I didn't want to lose this world. I chugged some potions and got my bow out and started taking on the end crystals. The battle had begun. All the hours I've spent watching other Minecraft YouTubers fight these dragons came down to this very moment. So, cue the epic battle music. It was almost over. I nearly dealt the final blow, but the dragon flew away, practically dead. I took aim, making sure the XP wouldn't fall into the void, and then we did it. Dang, almost nice. Now, it was time to go beyond anything I've ever done. It was time to find the end cities and get myself the wings of glory. And before that, I realized I might need more materials. Crafting slow falling potions and more night vision potions and hope to secure my survival in this new journey I've never embarked on before. I also decided to put my levels to use, enchanting books to upgrade my armor even further. I paid a little visit to our chicken coop to remind them who's boss, and then I headed back to our end portal. I was feeling pretty unstoppable. Back on the end island, I quickly gathered some pearls from the locals, thinking I might need a quick way to move around the end islands, and then it was time. I made my way through the gateway for the first time ever while playing hardcore Minecraft, and I don't care what anyone says, I feel like a champ. And there we were, searching for a whole freaking hour. I did not think looking for a bright purple building in the void would be the most annoying task in this entire video. I would rather boat 100 villagers over 1,000 blocks than be stuck in this wasteland looking for this end city, yet, despite my frustration, I had to find the city. I built bridge after bridge and ender pearled myself across the void, nearly facing death each time, and then I found it. An end city. An end city without a ship. Nevertheless, we looted the entire thing. Oh wait, there's no chests. I fought off the shulkers though, and tried not to float into space multiple times. The city being empty was a downer, but we were able to make our first shulker box, and I was ecstatic. I watched many guides on how to take on these cities, and a water bucket was my best friend. Sadly, we were back on our way to search for another city, one hopefully with a ship. We thankfully found an end gateway and locked in its coordinates in case I ever decided to head back to the overworld before we starved to death. I was prepping a bridge across another gap when it occurred to me. I could craft slabs using endstone, effectively giving us a huge advantage when it came to crossing the void. It was so sketchy crossing over the void like this. It'll only take one misstep, one moment for my left pinky to let go of the shift key and end it all. And then looking out the distance, there it was. The outline of a tall spire. Quickly, I tried to get closer to see more of the city, and that's when I saw it. An end ship in all its glory. As you can tell, I was very excited. I started to make my way over, and to my absolute surprise, there wasn't just one city, but two cities. side by side with end ships in tow. I could not believe it. I could not believe my eyes. All those hours grinding villager trades and long days and nights of failing and succeeding, the ups and downs, the animal cruelty, the accidental villager deaths, it led me to this exact moment. And I wouldn't change a thing. After using an ender pearl that increased my heart rate to 196 and also nearly ended the series right before the finish line, I began my raid of the end city. Off we went, pillaging the peaceful end city of all of its goods and fortunes and taking them for myself. I mean, after all, it was left for me here, right? I made it up to the end shift riding the floating powers the Shulker's box bullet gave me, and this is why I needed the slow falling for sure. And there it was, the elytra. I took my first ceremonial flight over to the end city and began collecting all the shulker shells I could, and then I climbed a tower to get high enough to glide over to the next city to plunder. It felt weird to get here, but I did it. I finally got an elytra in hardcore Minecraft, and in today's world of Minecraft YouTubers, I know this doesn't sound like much, but it feels really neat. Well, I guess that's episode 1.